2, 1. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is me, OC Steve, and to my right is DJ Ruben. Thanks for what's going on. You know, he's back at the Ruben Cave up in NorCal. We had some ideas for a show, obviously, this week, but sometimes just real life and real geek events get in the way. We could talk at another time about Wakanda Forever, but I think this is a little more poignant. As of yesterday, the late, great Kevin Conroy, the voice of a generation, if you will, passed away at the age of 66. Ruben, your thoughts, man?
Man, it's tough because, we spoke about this earlier, man. Kevin Conroy, the Batman, the animated series, was our generation. You know what I'm saying? As elementary school kids, we get off school and 4 o'clock roll around, and Batman the animated series would come on, and we were entertained by this TV show. And for me, he is the Batman. Like when I think of actors to play Batman, it's Kevin Conroy's Batman is the very first one to pop in mind.
Which has always been like a geek debate, because I think in the last 20 years alone, theatrically speaking, we've had a multitude of Batman. Whether it's Christian Bale, Robert Pattinson, Batfleck himself, Ben Affleck. There's been a lot of people that have worn the cowl through just 2 decades alone. But there's been one guy who's always been consistent, and it's always been kind of up to geek debate. Does Kevin Conroy fall into this line of Batman? Because they were physically present as Batman, you know? And I think it's even harder to try to get Batman and Bruce Wayne and all that ethos and all that kind of drama acting through a voice, because he doesn't have the luxury of being in the suit. He doesn't have the luxury of taking a hit. He has to all internalize that, and it's him in front of a mic, and that's it. You know, you got to either stand and deliver or sell it, or you don't.
For sure. He's also at a disadvantage too, because not every single time are they recording lines with other people. Sometimes he's by himself.
Yeah, and you know, him and Mark Hamill, who played the Joker, Hamill might record his lines like, you know, a week later. They may not even be in the same place and at the same building. And I've always thought that was kind of a weird argument, that a lot of people didn't consider Kevin Conroy, but yet on the same token, they consider Mark Hamill, you know, the Joker. So I always thought that was really weird, that this was kind of up in a geek debate, that they would go back and forth ping pong wise with that whole idea. But I think what Kevin did was set a benchmark. Because when we were growing up as kids, a lot of the times animated series were just for the sole purpose of slinging toys, slinging merch, getting it done. And this show was done the other way, where it was done with high quality animation, high quality sound design. Obviously, we're using the background of the backdrop of Gotham on this show. I mean, everything was done with it to be a quality show in mind. And it was maybe in the back burner to push toys and product.
Oh, for sure. The animated series was well ahead of its time. I mean, because of that TV show, we got Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was created specifically for Batman the Animated Series, and a whole bunch of other characters made it through because of this TV show.
Or just characters that we would never been exposed to. With this show, as a kid, we got exposed to the entire rogues gallery that was Batman. Like, some of the great episodes of this series were like introducing Mr. Freeze, which on film, Arnold was Arnold. You know, it was campy. He had some one-liners. But this was a show that was multi-generational to the point where it was kind of set out of this time with the dark motif of the 1940s and 50s and using modern technology. And it didn't dumb down the storylines. Like, this was something I could watch with my older brother or my father, and we all kind of had a mutual experience of experiencing Batman. You know, like, it didn't feel like it was a cheap out or a silly kid storyline where it's like sharing is the message at the end. You know, some like nonsensical altruistic thing. It's like, and sometimes, you know, he didn't win. You know, he got away, but he didn't necessarily win. Or, you know, he defeated a villain, but at what cost? And it asked you those questions. It was deep storylines and character development, and things happen naturally through the series. You know, it's like you got to see his background, you got to see his past, you got to see him also be Bruce Wayne. You got to get that idea that was planted in, you know, as a little seed in our, as kids, that necessarily Batman was, I mean, Bruce Wayne was the mask if Batman was the real person.
Right. No, for sure.
And what was cool about Kevin is that he was great to fans. And I've just experiencing talking to other geeks. He never really said no to another fellow fan when he was at a con. He was very generous with his time. Even more so that I found this storyline on Twitter where he was in New York during the time of 9/11, and he gave of his time to feed first responders. So I'm going to play this video. I thought it was really poignant, and it gives you an idea of the character of who Kevin was.
I live in New York, and I after the attacks on 9/11, we were getting all these, hundreds of meals ready. And this one guy in the middle of the night, like 3 nights into this, he goes, "So my day job is I'm an architect." He says, "What's your day job?" I said, "Well, I do voices mostly." He went, "I knew it." He said, "You're the guy who does Batman. You're that Kevin Conroy." So he goes into this dining hall. And this is, the first week after the attack, and there's been like just this somber sadness. And you hear him go, guys, you're not going to believe who's been cooking your dinners. It's Batman. There's this long silence, and you hear, "Bullshit," from the back of the place. And he said, then someone else says, "Make him prove it." So I thought, oh, this is good. So I'm in the back kitchen, and I do from the back kitchen, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." There's this long pause, and then you hear from the back of the place, "Holy, that is Batman." And suddenly people were laughing. And the architect who had recognized me said, "What's it feel like to be Santa Claus?" Because that's what just happened to you.
I mean, just the fact that he gave of himself, he was a member of the community. He never really made it a big pretentious deal that he was Batman. Shows the character of the man behind the mask, behind the voice. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Just stuff like that. Like, so, for us in our community, obviously he's a big celebrity, but because a lot of people who don't follow voice actors or the acting, they wouldn't know who he was if you walked by him. And I think for him to not even project his celebrity status that he has and just wanting to be able to help out speaks volumes of who he is.
Yeah, and I think we could all learn that. To never think that we're too big to lend a hand to just help somebody. And I think when somebody like this passes, I think what's important is that we don't hoard onto him. We don't go, Kevin Conroy was our Batman, and he was only our Batman, and we're not going to let you have this Batman. Don't gatekeep this. I think what's important is to share this and let people know why he was an important Batman to us growing up as kids, and to find episodes, to find these experiences, to share with it and go, look, this is why I'm such a geek for this. And I think I boiled it down personally to a couple pivotal episodes that if you just want to share it with somebody, that fortunately now we don't have the problem of having to wait for a collector's edition or a Blu-ray, or them taking it out of the Warner Brothers vault. You could literally subscribe now to HBO Max and check this out. And these are probably my top 3. And so I'm going to break these down with you. Right now, I would say the first one that I would want to share is this one right here. And I think this is very poetic. That this episode, Beware the Gray Ghost. And the reason why, it's because, yes, in the nature of the episode, you find out that Batman kind of emulated Batman's persona and the detective based on this character known as the Gray Ghost, to show that he and his dad watched as a kid. But the voice of the Gray Ghost is the thing that hits home the most, because it's actually 1960s television Batman, Adam West. So you have one Batman from TV interacting with another Batman. This episode was almost like a wink and a nod of passing the torch. So I think it's great because it even goes back to, he rocks the Gray Ghost uniform in Batman Beyond at one time when he has to disguise himself when somebody invades the Batcave in that episode. So kind of plays back, but I think the gravity of this, especially with Kevin Conroy passing today, is a very poignant episode that I would recommend watching, because you get to, this is a great Batman episode with Kevin Conroy portraying Batman, but it's also a really great voice acting episode for him portraying Bruce Wayne.
I agree. This is one of my favorite ones. Actually, yesterday after we were texting, this was the episode I put on to watch.
So great minds think alike, man. So I'm glad we're both on the same page here. So I would say another episode, there's actually 2 that are from Justice League Unlimited. And like I said, again, the greatest thing is you can find this on HBO Max. We used to have to get tapes or go to cons And when it was out of circulation, you'd have to get some piratey, sketchy video that you would hope would work in your DVD player or Blu-ray player, if I'm dating myself. But another episode from Justice League Unlimited that's a great one is the Why Am I Blue episode. And this is kind of a funky episode where Diana gets turned into a pig by Cersei, which is a sorceress. So Zatanna and Batman have to team up to figure out how to confront Cersei. And obviously magic comes at a cost. So if they want to turn Wonder Woman back into human shape and form, he has to give Cersei something. That magic comes at a cost. And we get to see Kevin Conroy bust out his acting. Obviously, we see him bust out his acting chops. But in this episode, we get to see him bust out his singing prowess. He had a very kind of mild singing career and did some jazz stuff before he started Batman. And he kind of occasionally did it and picked it up for fun as a hobby. But he gets to sing this great little 1940s big band number that's a sad jazz routine called Why Am I Blue? And it's just funny. They play it off like Cersei's like, yeah, he did his agreement. I'm going to undo the spell. And then Zatanna's like, no, I want to see the rest of the song. Let him finish. Let him hit out these notes, right? And then Batman sings the song. Wonder Woman gets turned back somewhere else. And Zatanna's kind of giving Batman ribbon Batman. And he's like, well, I studied her. I was on a stakeout and I listened to this song by this singer for 100 times. So he's trying to play it off, but Bruce actually having fun. So it was a very rare moment where we got to see Batman actually enjoy himself, and he was reluctant to do it. We always see him poised and confident and collected and the tactician of the Justice League, if you will. But this was one of these few times we got to see a lighter side to Batman, which is what I enjoyed about this episode. What's your take, man?
Well, definitely a great one too, man. Just things you never expect to see. You know what I'm saying? Never ever would you imagine hearing Batman singing, and that was a great surprise for us growing up, just seeing that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was just one of those random moments where you're like, it can happen here, that they're not so worried about the continuity. Or it was just neat to see because we've always been used to this standard of Batman always being this poised, cool, calm, and collected. Obviously, we've seen the goofier Batman and Robin with the Batman, American Express black card or any of that other nonsense, that we had. But we had a standard for Kevin Conroy Batman. So this was kind of throwing us a curveball in a good way. And as fans, we were happy about it, Then I'd say the last episode, which kind of wraps up the Batman Beyond storyline. So he did Batman the Animated Series, all 3 seasons of that. He did 3-ish seasons of Batman Beyond. He did cinematic movies. He did video games. He did the entire Arkham series. And he got to a point in his legacy where he got to pick and choose what he was going to do as Batman. And when you found out he was doing Batman and you had Hamill doing something like in The Laughing Joke, you knew that was something they were genuinely going to do because they were at a point where if Warner Brothers was going to shell out the money to get both these guys to come back and do it, you knew you were getting a legit product. That's kind of how I felt. But for this episode of Justice League Unlimited, this is at the end of season 2. And this episode is called Epilogue, which I thought was funny because it's one of those random episodes. Yet again, we weren't expecting a whole Justice League Unlimited episode dedicated to wrapping up Batman Beyond because we had unfinished business with Batman Beyond. We had 3 seasons, and then we had the height of it with the Return of the Joker film, which we got Hamill to come back as Joker. There's an unrated edition, which you can find on HBO Max right now. But none of us were really expecting them to go full circle with this, wrap it up, and see what happened to Terry McGinnis afterwards. Or the curveball finding out that he's genetically Batman's father. Bruce Wayne is Terry McGinnis' father due to some genetic manipulation done by Amanda Waller.
Stem cells.
No, but didn't your head just explode when you watched this episode as a kid and you're like, yeah. Or even at later in life, I never even knew this episode existed because I wasn't really the biggest fan of Justice League Unlimited. I kind of dipped out by then, but rewatching this, I was like, holy shit, this should be a part of the Batman Beyond. If you're not going to, when they had Batman Beyond as a Blu-ray, this episode should have been in it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That reveal though, that he was genetically, related to Bruce Wayne, I was like, wait a minute. As a younger person, you're like, whoa, is that possible? But now in 2022, I'm like, yeah, it could be possible.
That that Amanda Waller felt so bad that the world needed Batman, she created events to do it. That they had this mutual trust and respect, and we got to see Kevin Conroy almost be on death's doornail as Bruce Wayne in that episode, and they find resolution and they find peace with that episode. But I just love that he was giving of himself to the very end, man. Like, this was a guy who was humble, who was grateful, and who appreciated the fan community and never bit back. You never heard of an instance of him spurging out at a con or getting in somebody's face. He was always a gracious guy. And I think those are lessons, even as fans and as men, that we can carry along with our everyday life. We're not always going to agree on every topic. You know, it's just the nature of life. We're all going to have different takes on things, but we can agree to disagree and hear other people, even in simple things of like geeky stuff. And you can carry that on into your everyday life. So I think in closing, let's let the man just one more time, one more little bit. Let's let Kevin say it himself, you know? So let's just listen to this 7 seconds.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
What can you say, dude? I mean, the guy's a legend. And, you know, like I said in closing, if you love something, share it with people so people can find out about it and it can grow and you can just enjoy it. This is a celebration of this man's life. He gave 30 plus years to being Batman. And I think it's just as simple as saying thank you. Ruben, I'll let you have the closing remarks, man.
Kevin Conroy, thank you so much for the wonderful memories you gave us growing up as kids, and you continue to inspire us to this day. Everyone share the legacy that is Kevin Conroy, and show everyone the DVD or HBO Max, whatever clips you can, share it.
Yep. And in the comments below, thanks for watching, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe as always. We're trying to get the word out. This is a little labor of love where Ruben and I get together once a week and just share what we enjoy in the geekosphere. But talk about which episodes were poignant to you as a Batman fan and let us know so we can keep the conversation going. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Have a good time and stay geeky, my friends.